Shanaaz,
Hi, Leila.
welcome to Everything Cape Town's Women's Month campaign.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us who you are and what do you do?
My name is Shanaaz, and I am the founder of Fashion Photo CPT. I'm also a footwear technologist for a fashion retailer in South Africa. And yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. Just started my business a year ago. Yeah, so getting a little bit of exposure. Yeah, we're getting there slowly but surely.
Okay, awesome. Sounds very intriguing and a lot going on. Tell me a little bit, or tell us a little bit, what attracted you to this type of industry that you're in, like
To the
the.
industry, I love fashion. I've always loved fashion. I grew up around fashion. My auntie was a dressmaker. When I was younger, obviously I was growing up in Mitchell's Plain, and yeah, it's just like when I was growing up, there wasn't a lot of exposure for creatives. Like I was always the weird person, like wearing all this weird colors because my mom was quite creative. So she dressed me very differently to a lot of, kids. And I think she could see I was a bit of an individual because I was a weird child. But yeah, I love fashion. I used to buy magazines when I was younger, like the pocket money that I used to get. I used to buy magazines. And I was inspired by the photos, like the editorial photos that I don't know if you remember, like when perfume brands used to launch, they used to have these like two-page spread, very colorful, it used to pop off the page. And I just wanted to be a part of that world. I used to have dolls, but I made clothes with them because I love fashion. But then I used to take photos of them afterwards. Yeah, so that's sort of how it all started, just a
So,
love for fashion.
so in a sense, is that also where the photography comes
Yes,
in? Okay.
yeah.
Love it, and I love how it's interlinking with.
Everything is connected. It's very interesting. Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm sure like further down this interview, you'll eventually see like everything's connected. Like I really believe that. Um, and if you believe it, things are gonna happen. That's how manifesting works.
There we go.
It's just
Spot on. And okay, so you spoke about future. Let's get into that if you don't mind.
yeah.
Any future goals that we can
I would
hopefully look forward
love
to?
to take fashion photo walks international. That is the goal. I'm at the moment I'm working on a clothing label for myself, for my brand. Not a big clothing label, so it's not going to be like a whole range of clothing. It's just going to be t-shirts and hoodies in the meantime. And then we'll see where it goes from there. But the end goal is definitely to take the photo walks international. I've got a lot of friends living overseas, and I've already spoken to them. So yeah, that's the goal eventually. It's not a big one, but it's also is, but it's not impossible. It's a big one.
Okay, give us a insight into what is a photo walk.
So a photo walk, basically, I used to attend. There was a lot of photo walks that took place. It's just a lot of photographers and people that get together, modeling and just sharing information about the cameras and stuff like that. But the ones that I used to attend was quite big. And it was really cool, but I hardly interacted with people because I'm quite shy. I maybe a chatty catty, but I am an introvert. So when I used to go, it was just a lot of people. It was very overwhelming. So I didn't really make friends. I would go on my own, it was massive. And then one day I just decided with a friend of mine, we were talking, and she said, "Why don't you just do your own one, and let it be focused on stuff that you love." So like you'll see a lot of things on my page are like fashion and footwear and sneakers and things like that. A lot of street because I love the city. So I started it in 2020, which was basically we just came out of lockdown and everybody wanted to obviously get out, get some fresh air.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, this would be like a cool way to sort of, let it be the catalyst for people to get out of their homes. Um, so we started it, and basically what it is, it's just a whole lot of creatives coming together. So the aim of my page is to provide a platform for up and coming creatives, whether it be the focus is on photography, but if we can sort of help develop and uplift people for modeling, for music, for dance, anything relating to like a creative field. That's basically because I had a creative mentor as well, and he asked me. I remember when I met with him for the first time, he asked me, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? You need to figure out what your purpose is and what difference you want to make. And as things went along, things just started falling into place. Like the focus in the beginning was fashion modeling. Everybody just wanted to be an aesthetic, we want to look pretty on Instagram. But then the way that things sort of evolved, I'm actually very grateful because the photography that I'm doing now is a little bit more authentic and a bit more real. Because I spent a lot of time with O21 and we went sort of like to different areas, and yeah, I really enjoyed that. So it's evolving, and I really like that because it's aligning with authenticity and truth.
Yes.
And then I met somebody recently, Dakira as well, and she was also very inspirational to that. And we spoke about a couple of projects that we want to get involved in. So that's also, something that I'm looking forward to because it's very focused on developing and uplifting women, which is something that I'm very passionate about. And also, I'm very passionate about sort of uplifting local brands, like people that are just starting out. Because if you go to photographers, generally, they charge a lot of money.
Yes.
So what I wanted to do is I wanted to provide this sort of service to people that just started their brands, to get a good quality image and content for their page. So I don't charge for it. But eventually we'll get there. We're sort of building right now. I mean, my business is it's just actually met its 1 year anniversary. But I feel like as it's gonna evolve and as the brand will sort of, like I am at the moment, I am working on a lot of projects. You can see my board.
We'll maybe highlight that.
Yeah, I'm sure you can just get a shot. So yeah, now I'm working with two specific brands at the moment, which is Custom Cuts, which printed this. So Custom Cuts is like they do customized prints on anything, mugs, clothing, cell phone covers. So there's that, and then I'm working on it now with another clothing brand called Jappie Apparel. I'm doing the photography and content for them as well. So yeah, so I'm super passionate about local, and just uplifting all the local brands. Yeah.
So, you mentioned Vakira, and that was about to be my next question. Have you drawn any inspiration from whether it be professional women in your personal life?
I drew inspiration from all women around me, to be honest. I've gone through a lot and I've seen a lot. And the one thing that I've learned is that women can't be divided. We all, it sounds cliched, but we all are stronger together, and meeting every woman on this journey of mine, after everything I've been through over the last couple of years, you realize that we all have something in common. Like it's just you connect, you meet people, and you think you're alone. You think like, like I'm going through this all on my own. I'm female. I'm this age. And then you meet people and you're like, wow, you're actually not alone. So I drew inspiration from everyone, most women around me. Like I said to you, I work in the fashion industry, so I think about at my company, in my department, we probably about what 85% female,
Which is like super
which
cool.
is super cool, but working with a lot of females, and that's what I can't understand. There's always this cattishness, like why can't we just come together and like we were, like I always just say, tell the trainees when I was working at my job before I resigned. I worked at a company for 12 years, and I always just say to the trainees, because they were always moaning about, yeah, this person is like this and this person is like that. And if you work in fashion,
Yes,
you know what it's like, So I honestly didn't know how I lasted there for 12 years. But I flew under the radar, and I feel like when you are sort of just good to people and just be a nice human, you're gonna get more out of someone else. And the trainees always used to moan about these, like these characters that we work with. And I said, you know what? Like there's this quote that I had it up on my desk. I think it was from Diane from Furstenberg, where she says, just forget about the personalities of the people in this industry and just get the job done. At the end of the day,
It's as
it's
simple as
just
that.
as simple as that. You're not there to make friends, you have friends. Look, our colleagues are like family. You can't really choose them. You are family. You're there for like 8 hours a day, 8 9 hours a
If
day,
not more, some
if not
people,
more.
especially in the fashion
I mean,
industry.
I used to work until like 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock sometimes. Um, and it was normal. I don't know how that. I don't know how that even how I thought that was normal, because mental health is something that is also important when you're working as a female. And people always tell us like, or you see things and you think like, I have to be that strong, like, so you always see people, like that's what social media's done, it's given us this, oh, this perfect person is perfect, so you see them and you're like, oh, I have to do this, I have to have this by this age, da, 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 da. No, man, slow it down. It's you think, like when I started in the industry, I was 22, 23, and you are a different person in every decade of your life. And within that decade, you are a different person when you're 21, when you're 23, when you're 25.
Yes.
There's no way as a 27-year-old is the same like a 25-year-old. It's just, it is what it is. But like you push, like, and like I've got a lot of cousins that are younger and friends that are younger, and I can see that, like we have to get to this level because this person has got this, and just slow it down.
Yeah.
There's no way you have control over it. The only thing that you can control is yourself. So if you want something, that's how I've lived my life. Like my mom taught me the word indie. I won't lie to you, Leila. My mom taught me, and you can show her this video. She will vouch for it. She taught me the word independence when I was 4 years old, and I said to her, "What does it mean?" Because I'm four. Like, what do you know? Like, what does independence mean? And she said to me, "Independence, you're not gonna rely on anyone. You don't need a man to pay for things that you want. You can have it yourself. And she always says to me now, maybe I like made you too independent, because now like it's very difficult for me to accept things from people. It's not because I'm somebody, I prefer to help others. So when someone comes and sees something, it's hard for me. Like I accept it now, because I realize, you can't do everything alone. Like when I started my business, it was difficult. Um, it was really challenging because like you think it's just you, So I had to do everything. I flew to Joburg. I had meetings there. Like nobody knew that I was doing it. I booked a hotel. I met with people. I networked. Um, like scary things that people would have thought like, how, like, but I pushed myself. Because you're never gonna, like, these all these cliched quotes on Instagram and on Pinterest about like, just pushing yourself and going out of your comfort zone. But that really is the best way that you're gonna grow and develop, because you can't be the same. I'm not the same person I was like last year this time.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be the same. You want to actually grow. You
Grow.
want to develop.
Yeah.
And growth and development to me is not about likes and follows like most people on Instagram with all the, like, it's important. Look, for a business, it is important. I've learned that as well. I did a short course online. Um, but right now, I feel like I just want to reach that purpose and that difference, and
Yeah.
meeting that sort of goal that I set for myself initially. And that's to uplift, like I said, I'm not gonna get paid for it, but I really enjoy it. Giving and just paying it forward. Because nobody was there when I was growing up. No. People thought you were weird, man. Like in the 80s, if you were a kid, 80s, 90s kid, and you I started like a small business. I used to make bags, and I was always doing like little creative things and selling them, and people used to think like this weirdo, like, you know. um, but now, you realize, like, there is a lot of opportunity. The kids of today and the young adults, they're getting this platform of exposure, and I'm fascinated by it. I love it. I absolutely love Instagram. It's just, I feel like if you're creative, it's quite an aesthetic platform, and a psychological platform, So it's very interesting. I find it very fascinating.
With that in mind, with the organized chaos, scheduling, and because you're
Mm,
full-time employed, and then you have your business
mm,
that you, it's the first year anniversary, and you have goals, so that, can you give us some tips and advice on scheduling? How do you plan around your
Scheduling.
day?
Look, one of the mottos or statements that I live by, and I always say this to everyone, is if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. um, if you know what it is that you want, like I believe strongly that you get guided divinely for big decisions in your life. I got divorced 3 years ago, and then after that, like things change. When you get divorced, people don't realize that it's a death of your previous self. So you struggle, you have that battle of who you were as a wife versus now this new person that's coming. You basically like reborn,
Yes.
so you struggle, you constantly battle with that. um but you learn, and you just pick things up as you go along. um and trying to work a schedule out. Look, I admire women that have kids, and that are working and hustling on the side. Like, I don't have kids, it's just me and my cat. you know um so you have to plan. Like, I always knew what I wanted, from a very, very young age. I knew that you need to, and my mother was very, very instrumental in that, because she encouraged my imagination, man.
Lovely.
So she wasn't somebody that would say you must go study law, you must do something academic. I feel like as a mother, your child, and I think my mom could see that I was a creative. So she guided me into something creative, and she said to me, go do something that you enjoy. You don't want to actually be sitting somewhere and then hating your job,
Yes.
like 30 years down the line. So from a very young age, that nurturing of my imagination took place, and I believe that I could do anything. I really could. I may have sounded crazy to people, but I sit, I dream, like I sort of dreamed about things, and I immersed myself in the things that I wanted my life to be. For example, I always loved city lights and I love stars. So what I did was, when I was still living at home before I got married, I got me neon stars and I put them on my ceiling. So every night when I would fall asleep, I would see the stars. I had photos, as I mentioned earlier, the editorial spreads of the pictures of the perfume models. I had them all around my room. My mom used to freak out. She's like, "These shaitan khabis, let's just take it down." Yes. Can I just?
Yeah.
Hello?
With the
Oh,
sunset
yeah, yeah, yeah.
pictures.
So you have to, like I was saying, like you have to immerse yourself in what you want for yourself. It's a manifesting. I didn't know back then that was
That was the
manifesting.
correct.
When we're done here, I'm actually going to show you a picture of something that I posted on my Pinterest board 2 years ago, and you're going to be like, okay, this is weird. But yeah, you have to believe it, because that's when alignment happens. This, if you want something, you have to work towards it. Like they say, although it doesn't help those who don't help themselves, divinely you will get guided, and you'll feel it, and that's how I've lived my journey, is like, just go with what you feel. Look, you don't always make the right decisions.
Yes.
You do mess up, as a woman, we do make decisions, and you have regrets and you don't have regrets. But at the end of the day, they're all learnings. And they make us stronger, as cliched as it sounds. It just, everything that we go through makes us
Yes.
stronger.
Thanks for that. So you mentioned like more than 12 years in the industry of fashion and footwear industry. Can you mention maybe some challenges that you faced, or
Other than humans?
or like how to, or some advice for the youth entering that field and how to face those type of challenges maybe?
Look, I feel like fear is always going to be the killer of dreams for everybody. Like the industry that I'm in is very dynamic. Because it's a creative industry, but it's also not. It's more corporate. It's a business environment. So when people come into the industry, I like to be very transparent, and tell them, listen, this is what's expected. Um, it's a tough industry, but you have to also, like I said earlier, you must humble yourself. There's a lot of difficult personalities in the fashion industry that I've dealt with. But it also, like I mentioned earlier, it all boils down to who you are, and how you treat people, and how you do your work. And I'd like to hope that I was recognized for what I did. Um, I
Amazing.
I climbed the corporate ladder without me even planning it.
Okay.
The job that I got, I like everything. I feel like it's just like
It was meant to
connected, and
be.
it follows a path. Um, and it also depends on the people that you connect with and the people that you network with. So like I said to you earlier as well, I go where what feels right. So when I started at the company, I started networking and I started becoming not friends, but like just making stepping out of shadows, like, and it's not that you were brown nosing, people, I know people think that I used to be like, leaking gat, for managers, but at the end of the day, it is a game. You have to know how to play it, and you have to know yourself, be self-aware. That is, and a lot of people aren't nowadays because nobody wants to really face the truth. So it's easier to just do what other people do, and I find it a lot. It's ignorance is bliss. We're just gonna cap on, don't, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, don't shake this cart. And that's a big part of why I left the industry initially.
Okay.
Because you get to a certain point where you just feel it became a bit toxic. And I told myself I'm not going to bring the T word up today, but the work environments can become toxic when you are self-aware and you can feel, okay, this is not for me anymore. Because at the end of the day, it's really not about the external environment. It's what you're feeling.
It's something inside.
It's
You have
what
to
you
sometimes listen
feeling,
to it.
and I was feeling it, and I wasn't sure, so I made istikhara. And I won't lie to you, I made istikhara the night before I got a dream. The next morning, I dreamed that I was sitting in this room and that I handed my resignation to my manager. And I won't lie to you, the way that I dreamed it was exactly the way that it went down.
Wow. Just for those audiences who might be watching this video right now, who might not understand and know what is
Istikhara. So istikhara is a prayer that we make where you unsure of big life decisions. So basically what you do is you speak to Allah and you put the entire decision into His hands and you hand it over, complete tawakkul, without any anxiety, without anything, and you just trust that whatever revelation you're going to get, whether it be in a dream, whether it be in a feeling, that is what you need to follow. So obviously I made the prayer. We do it after Isha, and it's advised for you to do it for 3 nights in a row so that you can sort of, get the answer or the most accurate feeling, that's going to guide you. Um, and I got my revelation the next morning because I was getting up for Tahajjud as well. And just before I woke up for Tahajjud, I had this dream. And I just said, that's it. This is it. I have to resign. This is what all I want for me. And Alhamdulillah, like if I didn't do that, um, I don't feel I would have been here today. It was a very, it was getting to a point because they wanted me to be a manager. And when you manage, it's not about product, it's not about working with tangible product, it's about working with people. And even though I connect well with people, I would like to think I connect, people connect with me, it's just not the environment that I wanted to connect with people, because it was a different type of connection that my soul was looking for at the time. I wasn't looking for that, "Ah, I need to climb the corporate environment and, you know, just climb and just forget about everyone else." When I started the page, it became a very different sort of energy. It was more about others now. I had an Instagram account previously that was my private, like personal page. I just didn't use it anymore because now it was becoming more about other people. It was becoming more about sort of uplifting the community. I remember the first time somebody said to me, "Shaz, you grew a community," and I was like, "Did I?" Like,
Yeah.
are we a community? And they were like, "We are a community." Like there are regular people that attend the event. Um, and to have seen these people evolve, like it's been really, 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 it's been such a journey. I mean, photography is very visual, and this is why I love it. I love collecting that memories, and this is also another reason I like Instagram. So if people have a personal page, or even if you have a business, and you'll see it as well as you evolve. Like a year from now, you'll see that you've evolved.
Mm.
Um, Personally, I can see my photography skills have improved. It's just the brand sort of evolved. People are sort of getting to know the page. Um, but the best part is sort of meeting with everybody, and everyone. People come from all over Cape Town. I remember no, the second walk I collaborated with somebody, with Ashwin, Art of CPT, and it was such a moment for me, because when I asked them where they were all from, they were from Mitchell's Plain, and I grew up in Mitchell's Plain. And these guys came out all the way from Mitchell's Plain to support, like this event, and we all still sort of on the page, and they sort of like the regular team of people that attend. So it's really cool. I try to get, there's a very limited amount of female photographers
Yeah.
in Cape Town, but there are, and I'm reaching out to people, so I want to try and bring them forward, um, which would be really cool, because yeah, it's such a male predominant industry.
I love that you spoke of self-awareness earlier, and with the increase of coming out with the whole the GBV, gender-based violence, sorry, and mental wellness, your mental state. Um, do you have any advice for women that are bridging the gap from being a professional or being a self-employed, trying to find a business and coping with the personal,
Yeah.
what's happening to themselves in that capacity?
Look, it's very challenging. It's extremely challenging. I'll just be honest, like after I left my company last year, I resigned in June and I left in September. In October, I left on the 30th of September. The first, that was the Thursday, the Friday night, I went out and I became a victim of gender-based violence just after I left my company. Um, and I was obviously starting a business. So that set me back. Mentally, it was the biggest, I feel like it was the biggest thing I've ever gone through in my life. Um, it was very, very eye-opening. You explore yourself, you question things about yourself, you know. But what I realized is that there's no shame in asking for help. Like you can't sit and go through a trauma where you were a victim and thinking that you were alone. I feel like as women, we just think we don't want to open up and talk to people because the next female is going to judge us. Or if you speak to your mom or you speak to a cousin, or, people, we tend to have that sort of stigma with us. I don't know. Yeah. So there's no shame in asking for help, or speaking about it openly. What I realized was I was silent for a very long time after it happened, and when my healing started was when I started talking to others about it, which was something that was completely out of character for me. Like I speak a lot, but people won't really know what I've been through. Like this is probably the first time that I'm speaking openly about something like that. Um, but there's no shame of asking someone for help, and when you do, you'll actually realize that there's other people that have been through things that you've been through, that can help you, like because like I said earlier as well, we as humans we look for connection, but yet we push it away. It's such a contradictory thing. Like, especially now in this day and age, we crave that connection. We crave somebody to have something in common with us so that we can sit and talk and heal, but yet we also don't want to because we're going to feel judged, or there's the stereotype attached to mental health because it's just an invisible illness.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody breaks their arm, they have a cast on, like, oh, shame.
Yes, it's physical. It's
Is
like
it so?
I can visually see
But if
something.
somebody's been a victim of trauma, no matter what that trauma is, no matter what level that trauma is at, everyone's trauma is relevant. They are, it's scarring to your brain, and because you can't see it, people tend to have this, oh, shame, no, she's okay. Go make salah. Go ask Allah to help you. Like that's the type of, when you go through depression or PTSD or any form of mental health, people are like, no, man, it's not real. Bitch, it is real. Like
Yes.
it is real. And, like I would strongly advise people to not think that they're alone, especially women. Um, we have so much strength, that we can draw from each other. We see people you talk to. I mean, I like I said, to the industry that I'm in, I work with women. You see them and you talk to them every day, but you don't really know their story.
Yes.
So yeah, I do feel like you can get help. There is help available. I went and I got help, and yeah, there's no shame in it. Because speaking to friends and that, they'll be like siding with you. When you get professional help, it's a different type of strength. Because you obviously need to remind yourself to get back into the space that you were, before they robbed you of all the shit.
And hopefully it will make you a better version of yourself,
Yes, it definitely can. It definitely can. Look, that you always have triggers, but it's just about managing it, accordingly.
So we are sorry to hear it happened to you. But we'd just like to just say thank you for using this platform to speak about it.
Thank
We
you for the
appreciate
opportunity.
it. We won't be too long. Sorry. Maybe some extra advice, just maybe one or two extra advice for the youth or women who'd like to bridge the gap in coming into the industry. And
Just believe, set a goal and believe. Really, in order for alignment to take place, right, you have to think of something and then feel it. So if you want success and if you want to set a goal and you want to work towards it, you need to live as if you're already existing in that state. Look, it's very difficult. Sometimes we find ourselves in circumstances where we can't, but then you do it in your imagination. Like you live it out, you see it, and if you're gonna see it, you're gonna start believing it, and it will happen. I won't lie, wallahi, I'm proof of that. Like you can visualize something, and once you start vibrating and you start aligning that frequency and you start feeling it, things will fall into place for what you really want. Like I believe that 100%.
I love that. Thank you. So, for anyone else watching this and whoever it might reach and they don't know how to get hold of you, how can we find you on
I'm
your
only
socials?
on the socials. I'm only on Instagram. I don't do Facebook. It's too much for me. I can only manage one platform at a time. So I'm on Instagram, Fashion Photo Walk CPT.
As simple as that.
As simple as that. But I've also got another page, Captures by Shaz, which is just my photography. So the fashion photo walks is for the community, and then I've got my photography page separate to that as well.
Perfect. Shukran, Shaz, so
Shukran to
much.
you guys for having me. I hope it was okay.